It is today's hottest music, Hot 103. Good morning, Las Cruces. You are waking up with the big show, and we are excited. Las Cruces Comic Con is coming up. We are just a few weeks away from Las Cruces Comic Con, and I'm excited because joining us today, checking in with us from Texas, we got Daniel Baugh with us today. Voice actor Daniel Baugh. You guys may recognize his voice. He's the voice of Jimbei. What's up, Daniel? Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great and very excited to be here.
Oh man. So talk okay, first I gotta ask. I mean, you mentioned Texas. Have you been to New Mexico? Have you been to this area, Las Cruces, southern New Mexico?
Not Southern. My wife is from Albuquerque. And
Okay, okay.
so I have extended family up in Albuquerque, up there, and I love New Mexico. And so I'm very excited. This will be my very first signing in New Mexico.
Nice,
I'm
nice.
happy about
I was prepared to ask you all the, typical New Mexico questions, red or green or Christmas or uh, so I'm pretty sure you have answers for those, right?
I do. Yeah.
What
Green.
is it? Green? Okay, I'm with you. Green for me all the way. I don't know why green. I just found out about Christmas a few years ago, and I've lived in New Mexico my whole life. My wife had to break it to me Christmas. I was like, "It's July. What are you talking about Christmas for?" Like, it makes no sense.
It's
Oh,
hilarious.
oh man, but it's exciting. Las Cruces Comic Con is coming up, and you're going to be in the house. So talk to us. How it's going to be exciting. I'm sure a lot of fans excited to meet you.
Yeah, I'm excited to meet them. I saw your lineup. It's incredible. 13 guests or so,
Yeah.
and all of them are ringers. I'm really wanting to meet a lot of them.
Oh, I
So y'all did a really good job on getting some guests.
so it's
Yeah, this is my first New Mexico signing. I just left uh, Phoenix a couple weeks ago where it
yeah.
was hot, and so I imagine it's going to be pretty hot there coming up, but it's something I can handle.
Yeah, no, I mean, the triple digits for some reason have it's like it feels like Phoenix here in Las Cruces. I have no idea, how they bear with it over there. I did see on Instagram you were in Phoenix. How was that convention? How did it go out there?
It was awesome. It was the UWU Knights that was promoting their upcoming convention in October, but they were wonderful. It was a huge turnout. Great time had by all. It was really nice.
Nice, nice, nice. And of course, Las Cruces Comic Con is coming up August 19th and 20th. You do not want to miss out. Of course, Daniel is going to be in the house. And for those that are, checking us out online this morning, let them know a little bit. How did you get your start in voice acting? Because that is to me, it sounds like the perfect job because, being able to use your voice as a job. So talk to us a little about being a voice. Is this your main job or do you have another 9 to 5?
I do have a real job.
Okay.
A real
I
job.
know that's what people tell me about this job. They're like, "Wait, is that your real job?" Like, "Yeah, this is my real job." So,
Yeah, I work for a bookstore,
okay.
a national used bookstore, um, and but I started getting into voice acting because I was a stage actor, still am, just haven't done it as much. Um, but I was working on doing a show in at the Pocket Sandwich Theater in Dallas, Texas. Y'all can check it out at pocketsandwich.com. It's a dinner theater like thing where you throw popcorn at the bad guys. It's melodramas. And so I was acting in those and I was starting to direct them. And one of my fellow actors, Jade Haley, now Jade Saxton. She was a voice actress, and she is, and does a lot of directing now, and she has thousands of roles. So I was talking to her about that, and I just said, I'm kind of interested in this. What do I need to do? And this is the question I get from fans all the time. What do I need to do to get into the business? And she said, well, at least your first start is, being an actor number one. So
Yeah.
so people ask how to get into the business. Take acting courses first, and then take voiceover acting courses. But I asked her how to get into it, and she gave me a contact with Funimation, which is now Crunchyroll. And I did an audition, and they called me out to do what is called Walla. And Walla is basically the background sounds, like if you see a couple of characters talking, but they're in a diner and there's people talking in the background. It's recording those kinds of sounds. So you're usually in a booth with 3 or 4 other people, and you're all speaking into the things, into the microphones and stuff, which is opposed to when you're just voicing a role, you're there by yourself. You're not there with the other actors. A lot of people think that's a misconception. You're not there right next to them.
I
You
think
just go in and
oftentimes
do your
many
role.
think that it's like, oh, they all got in one room and decided to act it all out at the same time. But
Right.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I mean, how is it for you? Do you prefer to be able to be in a recording studio by yourself or with the group? Like, what is your preference?
Well, doing the Walla is fun. It is
Yeah.
fun, but it can get claustrophobic because those booths are a little bit small and everything. But yeah, I love being just in the booth by myself. I've done a lot of additional voices. I mean, I've done some name characters, but I've also done hundreds of just voices, additional voices. So when they need someone like a hobo to come up and say, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" They'll get me to go in there and just do that line. And so a lot of times when I'm booked to do a show and I'm asked to do a show, I won't even know what show it is unless I, read the email a lot. A lot of times I just say, "Hey, show up at the studio and go in," and I walk in. They show me, what I need to do, and I do it. I'm out, and unless I make a mental note of what show it is, sometimes I don't even know until I read like the credits on IMDb or something.
Yeah.
So
So, I mean, but that's gotta be really I mean, because how do you get it? I mean, and I guess that comes with the experience of being an actor is being able to get into that role right away because, I mean,
yeah,
I mean, I've been in radio for 17 years, and voice acting is, to me, so intriguing because it's 1 minute you're this character, and like you said, you don't even know what the character is, but you just turned on that switch and ready to go. I think sounds like a very difficult job to do.
it can be tricky, very fulfilling. It's very fun. I was a stage actor and I still am a stage actor, and there's nothing that beats performing in front of a live audience. You feel their nuances of how they feel and you play off of it. You do improv, and all those things help with the voice acting in the studio. However, in the voice acting with the studio, everything is more defined and detailed oriented. What helps me with my acting background is like if they say, "Hey, we need a cowboy for this," I immediately can recall my cowboy voice. Yeah, I'm gonna come in here from the range, so I can already have a voice in mind if it matches the character's physicality on the screen. And so what they do is like if they're doing a show, you walk into the booth and there are 2 screens in front of you. One screen has the lines that you will say and the other people's lines and how you say it, like if you have an open mouth, a closed mouth, if you punch a certain word or something.
Yeah.
And then the other screen shows what you're actually dubbing. It shows the Japanese version. And so they show you the Japanese version first so you can get a feel for the whole scene. And the directors, the good ones, always explain the background and what's going on, your motivation. While in stage acting, you've done all this homework yourself as you're developing your role. While with voice acting, you're thrown into it and you got to come up with it quick.
Wow.
And and also with the voice acting, like I said, it's very, very technical. You have to say things certain ways, and sometimes the director will come back and say, "Yeah, that read was great. Let's try it another way," because they like to get 2 or 3 different reads. Because when they put it all together with the engineers, sometimes they go a different route, and so I'm not really sure, which version comes out until I actually see it
Yeah,
on
once you're like, "Oh, okay."
Crunchyroll
And
or
do you kind of have an idea like, "Oh, I didn't think they would go with that one, but okay,
yeah,
I see
all
that."
the time.
Right, it has to be
Yeah, all the time. Yeah,
final
yeah,
product, you're looking at it like, "Wait, okay, so I could see where they were going for," but I'm glad they had the take. One of the things I wanted to ask you, being a voice actor, and I see a lot of movement between you and I doing this. When you're in the studio, do you constantly? Because I do this whenever I'm doing any type of recording or maybe we're on the air, that I'm very animated with my hands for some reason. If somebody was walking by our studio right now, they would wondering, "Why am I doing this?" Do you catch yourself? Are you that way? Because I also have
yes.
known some people that are very still and they're very like, I don't know, like a statue. Whereas for me, I'm very, how are you when you're in
Yeah.
the studio? Like, are you very animated when you're doing these lines?
Yeah, well, for one, I'm a very animated person naturally. I didn't realize that till lately when I started watching videos of myself, and I asked a friend, "Have I always been like that? Do I have some kind of disease I don't know about?" And she's, "Oh yeah, you're always like all over the place." But yeah, my hands tend to flail and stuff. And when I'm doing the part like in Jimbei, there's a lot of times where he's running or something, and so I like to get my lungs moving like I'm running physically in the booth. So I'm running in place as I'm saying the lines, so they come out like I'm running. Um, so yeah, and the thing is the engineers, they're like holding their breath because they see my arms flailing every once in a while. And what you don't want to do ever is hit a microphone.
Yeah, oh,
So I have to be very careful and make sure I'm not making any extra noises from keys or anything in my pocket and stuff like
yeah,
that.
nothing's gotta be worse than having to do another take because you accidentally touched the microphone or, you hit something in your pocket, and, I mean, that type of situation, like, "Okay, that was great, but can you redo it and this time not touch your keys?"
Right.
So you
That
mentioned
happens. It
so
does
you mentioned
happen.
Jimbei. How has that experience been? I was looking, online. I mean, you have a lot of credits, in the anime world, but Jimbei is a big one. What's that role like?
Yeah, it's changed my life. I started doing this voice acting as kind of just another thing in my acting repertoire that I just wanted to kind of a bucket list and try it and see what it's like. And that's what I was doing when I was offered the role of Jimbei. I was first doing Walla for One Piece, and the director heard me and liked what he heard, and he said, "Hey, would you mind reading for this role?" And I don't think it was Jimbei that they showed on the screen. It was, I think, Blackbeard or somebody. So but they wanted a similar type of voice, but they weren't saying what it was. And so I read for it, and they left me in the booth for a good 5-10 minutes, which was exhausting. Like, what's going on? Then they came back and they said, "Well, we got in touch with the higher ups, and you've passed muster. We want to go with you. We'd like for you to do this role of Jimbei, who is a warlord fishman." And I'm like, "Wow, okay." And and so they explained it to me, and they said, "Well, yeah, he shows up here in this thing, and then he's going to go away for a while, and then he's going to come back again. So, like in 2 years, you're going to have a lot of work." And I'm like, "Okay." So yeah, we laid down the first stuff, and then sure enough, 2 years later, he comes back, and I was doing a lot of recording for that. But then once there was rumors coming out that he was going to be a member of the Straw Hat Pirates,
Mhm.
that's when everything just exploded. Uh, I started getting emails from all over the world, Philippines, Germany, Japan, from fans, just wanting to say hi and welcome me to being a Straw Hat crew member. And I didn't realize at the time how big One Piece is. And if you're not familiar with One Piece, Google it and have a lot of time to sit back and read all this stuff. And right now I'm very fascinated with the whole pop culture around One Piece, especially with the Netflix version coming out of the live version. Very interested in seeing that. But it has really changed my life. And they said, if you're game for this, we can do things like, get you in touch with, like you and doing some signings and stuff. And I didn't really think much about it. I just kept it in the back of my head. And then I get an email from the guy Chris, who basically works with getting me lined up for signings and stuff, and said, "Well, yeah, we hear that there's going to be a Funko Pop of Jimbei, and once that comes out, you are going to be extremely busy signing these things."
I was gonna say,
And
yeah,
I was
I'm
like,
thinking, yeah, it's gotta
"Wow."
be intense.
Yeah, and for a while, I was looking forward to it, but I didn't see anything on the news. I kept, just hitting the webs trying to find any kind of information, and I was thinking, this isn't going to happen. This is just a rumor. And then they came out, and then they dropped the sucker. And so these two little guys right here take up most of my autograph time at a con because I can do a magic trick. I can sign one of these little $12 pieces of plastic and turn it into a much more expensive piece of plastic.
And I'm sure you'll see many of those in Las Cruces. Many will want theirs signed. And by the way, for those that are going to be at Las Cruces Comic Con, JSA is going to be there. They'll be on site that weekend to make sure anything that is signed, it can be authenticated. And it's going to be so exciting, man. I did want to ask you, though, because you mentioned earlier about, the role and how everything kind of began. What was it like? Because they're telling you to start this. And then they're saying, hey, in 2 years, we'll like, do you think about it? Do you like, okay, I just did it. We'll see. Because I mean, they're asking for 2 years. And I mean, you're like, okay, do I wait or what's going
Yeah.
on? Like,
Yeah. And at
call
my
back?
age, I might not have 2 years.
Well, and I'm like, did they change their number or did I
Right.
change my number? Do they got the right email? So
Yeah.
what's it like for you in that moment? Because like you said, this is a role that essentially was, I mean, it's a huge role, but then it's like to know that there was that 2-year gap where it's like, okay, he's gonna come back, but you're just gonna have to wait.
Yeah, yeah. And they did throw me roles, in between the time. So I was
Yeah.
doing some voice acting and stuff. It was just this one Jimbei thing that there was this big long vacation from. But they did, they made sure when I signed on for the role that I was good for that kind of commitment, that that you're not going to move away or anything in a year. And if you're good with this, we can do this. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'm pretty stable here, not moving. So yeah,
Well,
let's do it.
we are excited to have you come to Las Cruces, and that's crazy with you having family in New Mexico, and this being your first signing in New Mexico. I mean,
My
that's
age, it might be my last. So take advantage of it. Buy
uh,
tickets.
you know what? Hey, get your tickets for those that are watching us. Get your tickets. You do not want to miss out. It is going to be even bigger than last year. For those that went out there last year and had a blast, we've talked to Troy. Shout outs to Zia Comics. We got to give a big shout out to Zia Comics and Troy and his staff putting this together. Of course, setting us up with you to be able to talk to you today. I was so excited, and knowing just the roles of voice actors and just kind of knowing how animated you and I both are. It's I know there's someone watching this right now thinking, wow, their hands are moving quite often in their heads. This. So hopefully we didn't make anybody dizzy. Okay. If you're watching this, we're sorry if we made you dizzy. All right.
Right.
If they want to keep up with you, Daniel, how can they can check you out? You got any socials? How can they keep in contact?
Yeah, I'm on all the socials. You might have to do a little digging to find which one. Let's see, because I'm never quite sure myself.
I had to check about. So if you guys search for Daniel Baugh, search on Google, then it's going to take you there. I tell you, I started going through this like list and it took me down this wormhole. And then that's how I was like,
Right.
okay, now we got it. So if they search for you on Google, man, and I tell you, you have a lot of stuff to your name, man. So it's just, I'm so excited, man, to be able to talk to you today, man. It was so great, man. And I look
Oh,
forward to seeing you when you come down to Las Cruces. I definitely will be paying you a visit. And hey, man, let's
I'm,
let's back it out.
I'm spastic together.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it so much.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And
Oh
if
my god.
anybody's out there wondering if they should go, don't come just because of me. Come for the honky tonk man. Come for
Oh yeah.
Pimlet Patty. I mean, the list of the guests are incredible, and I want to meet them. So we'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
Oh no, I already have my list. I mean, we have Atreyu who's gonna be there. We got, I mean, the list goes on and on. So guys, get your tickets, LasCrucesComicCon.com. We are gonna see you out at the Las Cruces Convention Center next month. Las Cruces Comic Con is coming. We hope to see you out there. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us today.